All right, welcome back to the Elias Macos Show. Richard Lapointe is with us. He's Senior Portfolio Manager at CIBC Wood Gundy. Richard, welcome back to the program.
Thank you so much.
Listen,
Thank you so much.
It's great to talk to you here, and the reason you're on is because I want to get some further answers. We actually threw it out to our listeners in the last hour of the show. The story of this Quebec man, his name is Pierre, lives in the Mauricie, and he just won the lottery. He won the Grand V lottery game from Lotto Quebec, and it's the prize is $25,000 a year for life, or you can take the lump sum, $500,000. He took the lump sum, and I think a lot of us are asking, well, geez, what's the right thing to do? Richard, thanks for coming on, and let's lead off with this. Richard, let's say it's you. What's the right decision?
Well, again, for me, everybody's a little different, right? I mean, let's take a look at if the man was 25, had no debt to his name, I'd absolutely insist on $25,000 a year for the rest of your life.
Really?
Why?
Tell me why.
Because when you get $500,000, please understand we are emotional creatures. In 33 years of doing this job, I have seen what money does to the average spirit of a human being. There's so much fear and greed, so much silly frivolity when it comes around money. So somebody's either very cautious, keeps it all to himself, or spends it rapidly without thinking. So the 25-year-old might be tempted to go up and buy some ridiculous car or buy a house he can't afford, right? Something of that genre. Might be, all right?
Yeah.
So getting $25,000 for the rest of your life, think about it now. If you're 25 and you're going to live till you're 90, let's say, you're talking about $25,000 times 65 years. Wait a second. Now that's significantly more than $500,000. Now, if you're in your 60s, like this gentleman seems to be, I mean, I see a picture of the man. I'm guessing. Then it depends on whether or not you have a mortgage. If you have a mortgage, you just take that thing, you pay it down, or maybe he's got some life goals he really wants to go. But from a pure financial perspective, getting that $25,000 every year is better than getting the lump sum.
So let me ask you it this way, because you're so right on the emotionalness, and you know, someone who's 25 may want to be tempted to spend it all or not spend anything and that kind of deal. But I'm thinking of it the perspective of Spock. Let's say you're Spock, you have no emotion. Let's say you are the most logical person in the world. What's the best decision?
So if you're the most logical person in the world, or an automaton, you're a machine, right? Let's say you've got no debt. So let's use me. You asked me, what would I do? So I've got no debt, right? I've got money in the bank. If I take in $500,000 and invest it in the GIC rate of 5% today, I will get $25,000 and have to give the government of Canada and Quebec about 13 of that 25. So I'll only be left with 12. If I take $25,000 a year for the rest of my life, I figure if I make it till 90, you're talking about 35 years at $25,000 a year tax-free.
Tax-free.
Right? Tax is the killer here in this country. We have a country of great safety. We're all safe. We've got all that we need here. But boy, do we pay for it. Right? Top rates on interest are 52.9% in the province of Quebec.
So, Richard, we have the greatest listeners in radio, and I had someone send me the Lotto Quebec blog on how these types of lotteries, where it's lump sum or a yearly payout, work. So I just want to, so by the way, because some people are saying that if you win it for life, it's capped after 25 years. That is the case in U.S. lotteries, but in Quebec, it really, if you live forever, you get it forever. If you live for 65 years, you get it for 65 years in Quebec. But I want to read you. So this is the thing about, and we had a caller in the last hour talk to us about the yearly, right? If you get it yearly, and it's an annuity, okay? So I want to read you this from the Lotto Quebec website. Unlike single payments, an annuity has tax obligations, okay? So if you take it every year, it becomes an annuity. Part of the annuity is taxable. A designated insurance company is responsible for administering and disbursing the annuity, which includes paying taxes. It is therefore an amount of $25,000 net of tax, which is paid yearly to the winner. So if it's net of tax, that means it's covered, right? Like
That's right. There's no taxation.
There's no tax for you. So that's a big key here. If you can avoid tax, that's a winner.
It's a monster. It's a monster because it literally, if I take that 500 now, again, I'm a machine. I take the 500, I buy a GIC. Now, one can say, hey, well, Rick, is that all you do, GICs? No. I can invest in the equity market. But if you take a look at my investments over 33 years, we've averaged about 7.5% or 8% per year over that period of time. Capital gains and dividends, tax around 30% as a global amount, kind of gets you down to the pretty much same area that you're in, taking $25,000 a year without any risk. So I would, for me, it's a no-brainer. But the reason this gentleman took his $500,000 is because he wants to spend a lot of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I have a feeling.
Yeah, and can I ask you this? Like, would it make sense? Let's say you're in your 60s, right?
Yeah.
Would it make sense? You've got a 20-year-old child. You got a 25-year-old kid. Make sense to give them the ticket and let them?
Oh, right? Absolutely.
Yeah,
certainly. I guess, especially if the rules are as you say. Mm-hmm. If the gentleman can keep that $25,000 going for 65 years, it's enormous.
So what do you say though? Because somebody pointed out, hey, $25,000 today, you can almost buy a car. $25,000 in 25 years, 30, 40 years. The buying power of that $25,000 goes down every year. So what do you say to that?
Certainly, it's terrible. Inflation eats away at you. Mind you, for a very long period of time, for almost 10 years prior to this recent inflation spike, we had pretty tame inflation. I have a feeling we're headed back there, but it's a valid point. But the $500,000's buying power will equally drop. It impacts both sides.
Yeah.
If you take in the capital and invest it, you're still doing an investment against inflation nonetheless. Your $500,000 today is worth much, much less than it was 20 or 30 years ago, right?
Yeah.
The forces of inflation work on both sides of the equation. The issue here is just simple mathematics. If I take in $500,000 and invest it, and I generate 5% of interest, it's much better to take your $25,000 a year. If I generate capital gains and dividends, it's questionable, depending on how well you do in the market.
I do want to point out.
I think you can't remove that emotionalize. It's impossible. Yeah. That's why the $25,000 a year is so much better for people, because they can't blow that.
Yeah.
Because if they blow it in a year, next year they're getting it again.
And I think
that's the issue.
There's a reason why we hear that the majority of lottery winners have lost the money in a certain amount of time, right?
Terrible.
I do want to point out one thing again from Lottery Quebec. What happens if I got a question from a listener? What happens if you kick the bucket? I will point this out. You get paid a minimum of 20 years. So if you pass away after a year, for 19 more years, your estate gets it.
Right.
So that is one. You're going to get a minimum of 20 years if you take the
which means
money.
You're getting $500,000 either way.
So let me ask you this, Richard. What about the tax avoidance that Canadians have at their disposal, like a TFSA? So next year the limit's going to be $7,000. So let's say you win the 25 Gs, and you could take 7 of that and put it into a TFSA. Does that change any equations?
Well, actually, let's be fair. You could put the full 25 in the TFSA if you don't have one.
Oh, that's right.
Okay,
yeah.
So TFSA limits are going to be, once the 7 comes in next year, are going to be over $90,000. So that allows for 4 years of contribution.
Yeah.
The key here is, again, we can paint all sorts of equations. Obviously, an 80-year-old wants the $500,000 up, right? Mm-hmm. The 20-year-old wants the $25,000. The guy who's got a lot of debt wants the $500,000 so he can pay down his debt. There's all sorts of equations. My biggest thing is this. A guy who gets $500,000, a windfall he's never seen before, chances are his emotions will take him to a bad spot.
Yeah.
He gets $25,000 a year added to his pension every year, provides for a great standard of living over time, or greater standard of living over time.
Richard, you made me think this morning. I am so happy we talked to you, because to me, off the top, it was a slam dunk for the lump sum. And now I'm thinking about that emotion and saying, no, you know what? $25,000 a year guaranteed, no risk. Pretty darn good.
It is.
Richard, thanks so much. Take care.
A great pleasure.
That's Richard Lapointe, Senior Portfolio Manager at CIBC Wood Gundy. When we return on the Elias Macko Show, In Transit takes a look at the Illitort Bridge, which is, as of today, down to just 3 lanes.